Hello and welcome to another episode of The Word for Kids. I'm Jamie and I'm guiding you through the books of 1st and 2nd Samuel in a series of 20 episodes. Last time we learned about Samuel passing to Saul the leadership of the Israelites. He reminded the people of all the things the Lord had done for them and that they had still asked for a king instead of continuing to keep God as their king. When Saul became king at 30 years old, some of his Israelite soldiers attacked a Philistine outpost. This caused the Philistines to come together with a lot more chariots and soldiers than what the Israelites had. And when the Israelites saw that they were greatly outnumbered, they were terrified and hid. Saul was waiting for Samuel, but when he didn't come at the time he expected, Saul offered a sacrifice to the Lord, even though he wasn't supposed to do this. When Samuel arrived, he told Saul that because he had not kept the Lord's command, his kingdom would not last. And that's where we left off last time. Are you ready for today's adventure? Let's go! One day, Saul's son Jonathan said to his armor-bearer, "Come, let's go over to the Philistine outpost on the other side." But he did not tell his father about it. Meanwhile, Saul was under a pomegranate tree near Gibeah, and he had about 600 men with him, and no one knew that Jonathan had left. There was a cliff on each side of the pass that Jonathan planned to cross to reach the Philistine outpost. Jonathan said to his armor-bearer, "Let's go over to the Philistine outpost. Perhaps the Lord will act on our behalf. Nothing can hinder the Lord from saving, whether by many or by few." His armor-bearer replied, "Go ahead. I am with you, heart and soul." Jonathan said, "We will cross over toward them and let them see us. If they say to us, 'Wait there until we come to you,' we will stay where we are and not go up to them. But if they say, 'Come up to us,' we will climb up, because that will be our sign that the Lord has given them into our hands." So they showed themselves to the Philistine outpost. The Philistines said, "Look, the Hebrews are crawling out of their holes that they were hiding in." And they shouted to Jonathan and his armor-bearer, "Come up to us and we'll teach you a lesson." So Jonathan said to his armor-bearer, "Climb up after me. The Lord has given them into the hand of Israel." And Jonathan climbed up with his armor-bearer right behind him. Jonathan and his armor-bearer killed 20 men in an area of about half an acre. That's not a very big area, just about half of a football field. When just the two of them took 20 men down, the whole army was struck with panic and the ground shook. This panic was sent by God. Now Saul's lookouts at Gibeah saw the army melting away in all directions, and Saul said to the men with him, "Muster the forces and see who has left us." Muster just means to gather them together. When they did this, they found that it was Jonathan and his armor-bearer who weren't there. There was a priest named Ahijah there who was a descendant of Eli, and Saul asked him to bring the ark of God. And while Saul was talking to the priest, the tumult in the Philistine camp increased more and more. Let's pause right there for today's word of the day.
Today's word is tumult. Tumult is a loud and confusing noise, like this. Tumult.
Okay, so as Saul was talking to the priest, the tumult in the Philistine camp increased more and more, and in the midst of this, Saul said to the priest, "Withdraw your hand." While the Bible doesn't explain all of this, the priest was most likely performing a spiritual ceremony to determine what God's will was for the Israelites. But Saul's excitement at seeing the Philistines fall so easily caused him to stop the priest in the middle of the ceremony. Saul assembled all his men and went to battle. They found the Philistines in total confusion, even striking each other with their own swords. Here the Bible says, Hebrews who had previously been with the Philistines and had gone up with them to their camp, went over to the Israelites who were with Saul and Jonathan. For some reason, probably driven by fear, these people had left the Israelite community and joined the Philistines when they were stronger than the Israelites. But when they saw that the Israelites were overtaking the Philistines, they went back to the Israelites. Also, all the Israelites who had hidden in the hill country of Ephraim, as we learned about last time, heard that the Philistines were on the run. So they came out of hiding and joined the battle in hot pursuit. So on that day, the Lord saved Israel, and the battle moved on beyond Beth-aven. And that's where our story ends for today. Now it's time for the verse to remember. verse is 1 Samuel 14:6d. Nothing can hinder the Lord from saving, whether by many or by few. One more time. Nothing can hinder the Lord from saving, whether by many or by few. 1 Samuel 14:6d. Something that strikes me about this story is Jonathan's bravery, and this bravery came from his faith in the Lord to save him. Remember last time we talked about how easy it is to forget about all the things God has brought us through? Here, Jonathan gives us an example of what can happen when we remember all the things God has done for us and choose to put our faith in his power to do it again. It was Jonathan's faith that nothing could hinder, which means hold back, the Lord from saving, that caused him and his young armor-bearer to bravely climb a cliff into enemy territory where they knew they would be outnumbered. And nothing did hold back the Lord, as we saw. In what areas of your life can your faith help you be brave? You don't need to fight off 20 soldiers, but you could be a friend to someone who's lonely or take on a new challenge that seems to be too difficult. Remember, nothing can hinder the Lord, and we have the Lord on our side. That's all we have for this episode. I can't wait to see you again soon for another episode of The Word for Kids.